What if seeking isn't about finding answers, but growing into the silence they leave behind? At some point, the questions fall away, and what's left is the light we've been trying to name. This is Seekers and Finders. Some conversations arrive by design, others arrive by grace. Seekers and Finders is a space for listening, where meaning shows up while we're paying attention. Today I'm joined by Samuel Dolman, a storyteller shaped by synchronicity and by a long devotion to what truly matters beneath the surface. This isn't about leaving the world, it's about staying present inside it and learning to trust the quiet source that lives within us all. Oh, there he is.
Well, there's the wise.
There's
the wise
Paul.
and the noble. Hey, guys.
Hey, Paul.
The wise and the noble.
I love the background. It almost says Vincent van Gogh.
Yeah. Starry Night on the Rhone.
Interesting. My favorite painter, and definitely top 5 paintings. Starry Night.
Yeah, mine too.
Have you been to Amsterdam and the Van Gogh Museum?
No, but I keep hearing about it. I know people who
If you love Van Gogh.
Yeah. No, that's something to do.
Let's do a field trip, the group. We'll take an old Viking boat.
So you don't do too many video podcasts, right? You
On my own, it's only audio. And now that you've seen my face, you realize why I seldom do them for other people.
Yeah,
yeah. I watched Lee Harris's podcast with you that you did 6 or 7 years ago. That was awesome. That was awesome.
You know, Paul, I'm the non-dual heckler. I always hang out in the background. I heckle the guests.
Oh my God, I love non-dual heckler. That's a great role. And Lee Harris.
That's my role.
What a beautiful guy. I think I said it on the show. I wasn't even supposed to be out there. And then because Lee actually plans every minute of every day 9 years ahead. And I'm not exaggerating. Every single thing is planned. Not that he's afraid. But somehow it opened up and we did that spontaneous thing. And that was a blast. And I think I got more emails from that. Maybe than anything I've ever done.
Why not? They could see you. So, there was a whole...
Wait, who is it?
Lee Harris and I.
I'll send you the link. I'll send you the link.
Okay, Lee Harris.
Really good.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with it. But anyway,
So here's the other thing. After listening to Juan Carlos Rey's recent podcast with you, really fucking hard to top that dude.
Wasn't that guy? That guy was amazing.
Juan Carlos Rey. He's amazing. And I'm sorry, I'm going to give him a plug here.
Let's give him a plug.
Yeah, because
who is he?
All right.
He's
Tell
a
the heckler
podcast.
what's going on.
He's a podcaster.
Is he enlightened?
On his show. What?
Is he enlightened?
Doctor? Yes, he's very enlightened.
The guy and the voice sounded like it was God coming from the ether.
I know.
It was almost
I gotta hear that. Send me the link. I want to see that. I want to see these people because I don't. A lot of people I don't know.
I know. I think he's got a voice emulator that's attached to his microphone.
He does. It sounded like the Wizard of Oz a little bit without the smoke. And it was great questions. And the guy told me it was his favorite show he'd ever done. And then he's getting all this response. I thought I was kind of a little. I hope I was a little irreverent at times.
I gotta see that.
Oh, God.
Here's what I have to say. After listening to that show, I don't know where the fuck to go from here because you just said, this is the greatest podcast I've ever done.
No, and he said that. You
said it.
When I was on there?
Yes.
Well, I've only done 2, and that's one of 2. So this would be the 3rd one.
Okay. All right. We're still in the running.
We're still in the running. All right. So wait a second.
I'm going to say on this show, this is the top 3 podcasts I've ever done.
Well, this is what I got from it, and especially all right. So I watched Paul Nugent, and I watched then of course Pam Desham. I watched his, very interesting.
That guy's very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, Penn is very cool. But this is what I got. So I recognize something in you that is so similar with me. And this is why I'm a little afraid to have this fucking podcast with you.
Oh, no, don't be afraid. By the way, the Lord song blew me away. I couldn't, I thought if nothing else, even if the show got canceled, I'd never heard that song before. I thought, oh my God, this is destiny. And thank you for doing some research too. I have people that come on and think that I picked Larry David up hitchhiking. And I'm like, uh-oh. And so then I will tease and say crazy shit.
So this is what I got from that, about you. And
uh-oh.
If this insults you, I'm sorry.
Please do.
But so you have a big voice that feels the constant tug of consciousness, which I feel I have.
Can I write that down? Oh my God.
And you exploit your humorous self-deprecation, which I think is wonderful. Okay.
Thank you.
Humorous.
I love the constant tug of the conscious. It's true, because it's always doing this. Hey.
You're right.
Hey, I tell people, I think I said on the show, it never shuts up.
You see it with a blinding flash, which comes to me constantly. And
it's so true. Why would I be insulted by this? Is the insult coming?
Here's the bottom. You have a showmanship with soul.
Oh, I love. Get a pen. I wish I had an assistant. Somebody write it.
And here's the final line.
Say that backwards.
Yeah. You do it all with tears at the edge of becoming, because when you said about crying, I do that too.
Sometimes it overwhelms you. It's so beautiful. You cry.
When I went to the Lord video that I sent you, and I turned it on, those first notes brought tears to my eyes. I cried
my heart
when
you said that. It's so.
Yeah. So
there was music the other day that was so beautiful. It just brought me to tears, and also in that cutting edge moment where it's also horrible and beautiful and perfect and heinous,
raw, and
it's just like right there you just weep because it's overwhelming, and you're glad you're just a witness for a millisecond.
But the James Blake original of Retrograde, which was a huge hit some years ago, his version.
I didn't know he cut it. Oh, I didn't know.
Well, it's his original song, James Blake.
Oh, I see. I didn't know it. I just listened to her.
So I will send you his version of it, and it goes into another space.
He has such an unusually cool voice.
From that grit that Lord expressed.
He has a more ethereal sound.
Yes, it's so beautiful.
Wow.
It's so beautiful.
So and you're a musician, you said in your note, or you got into music?
No, I was in the music business. I was started out as a recording engineer, then I became a record producer for a New York City label.
Wow.
And in my 20s, and I was very fortunate. Here's the thing that is very similar that I said about you.
Yeah, we're both the music business thing. That's weird.
I've been inserted into a lot of very famous people's lives as just a thought. Never.
Me too. It's weird.
Never
isn't it,
a big thing. Never a big thing. But as a record producer, I worked. So as a recording engineer, I worked with a group called the Hassles, which was Billy Joel's first group. And Billy Joel was in the studio with the Hassles on piano. Okay, they had another lead singer.
Wow, and that's pre-Artie Rip, where you got,
Oh, Artie. Then when I worked for the record label, I was touched. I was in with Jimi Hendrix.
Oh,
the Isley Brothers. Carlos Santana,
holy fuck,
John McLaughlin. But here's the thing.
Any big names? Jesus Christ, it's huge.
But the thing is, I was just a thought there. I mean, there was no bigness. There was no success. There was no, I was so grateful to have been put into that space.
But an engineer can't be an egomaniac. He's the facilitator and the producer too.
Yeah, but
if you get a larger-than-life Phil Spector, you end up with that crazy shit.
That is true. You've also touched these lives. As an expression And although from what I understand, I mean, with your podcast with Lee Harris, you have touched on abundance.
Actually, this is getting too good. I wish we already had some of this down.
Well, it's all down.
Wait, somebody write down the shit he's saying.
Well, it's all recorded.
We're recording it.
Are we already on?
We're on. We've been on.
Are we on? Is this how it goes? You just
sort
of roll
into
this?
We're on.
You want to give me an intro or talk about how great I am? No, I'm kidding.
So
I can't believe I lost that bet to Dia. So this is it. We're even now, Dia, if you're listening.
Oh yes, we have to a shout out to Dia. Look at how many connections Dia has made, right?
Oh man, the brilliance and the connectivity in terms of her mind and being able to put people and pieces together and not just throwing them together, but they're so conscious. Also, I just love her. She's such a good person, strong, kind, but man, I wouldn't want to step on her tail and have her mad at you. But
hey, maybe I could use her, Paul. I want to expand my brand in 2026. Anyway, I'll
call her up. Call her up. Yeah.
I want to be famous. I want to be a famous personality too.
You might struggle. She does a background check, but we can maybe work.
Then forget about it.
Yeah.
No background checks. No.
That's right. Yeah. What's a few felonies between friends? But
it's all one. It's all one.
It's all one. Now, will his ankle monitor affect any of the audio?
I am in the witness protection program. I hope.
I know, that's right.
He never leaves that chair. I've never seen him. He's never given me.
I'm in the witness protection program too, and that's why no one's found me, because no one listens to my show.
Yeah, but just saying that on live on media right now could be very bad for us, because they're listening to everything.
They have been for a long time, unfortunately, or fortunately, and it's the old. I always say to everyone, the worst case scenario is you get put in a camp, but as long as there's that one wire that runs about 900 volts, that's my exit visa, like in Casablanca. You want this old sack of shit of carbon? I'm doing a reboot. Power that thing back up. Come back.
The illusion of life.
Come back as a Marvel hero with a beef.
I want to begin somewhere very simple and very human. My question is, when you step back and look at your life as a whole, what presence do you feel was quietly arranging it from behind the scenes?
God, that's a good one out of the game. There you go. You're throwing the fastball now. I love the way you phrased it too, because there was always a presence. It was the witness, and it sets up circumstances, possibilities, portals, and pratfalls and pitfalls. And then the personality, with its temporary amnesia, forgetting that it's part of this thing, then plays the game from a very limited scope early. And that presence is there, having the experiences and perhaps guiding us more unconsciously early on. And then you have to overcome massive brainwashing that tells you you're just a carbon-based life form and you need the right deodorant and all that stuff, and to work for the man is the highest honor. And what happens if you're very lucky, and I was, you have experiences and you hear whispers, and instead of tuning it out and buying in, you kind of, I don't want to say drop out, but you step back, like Campbell and others, all of anybody that's ever found anything. And you go where it's quiet and away from the dissonance of the modern capitalist society, the struggles of the human form, and you listen. And then once I started to do that, everything began to change. It's slow. And then you learn you can invite it in, and it's accessible and democratic for everyone listening, that anybody can do this. And then the more that neural pathway literally in your brain is strengthened and enlarged, I think there's a spiritual neural pathway, a channel that grows or reopens, or maybe it was always there. It's like you're starting to open up capacity, bandwidth, and then it's a beautiful kind of coming and going. But that's the source. And then it's almost like if you have a home office with an incredible view, infinite knowledge, love, and compassion. That's the best way I've learned, and still learning every 5 minutes, that's the better way to be moved through the world for me. I don't want to say for anyone else, to be guided by infinite intelligence rather than a needy ego. Now, if I'm on a train track and, whoa, there's a train, then biologically I should have caution and jump away. I'm not talking about the primal concern of the moment. You need some balance for that. But to be guided and then allow. What comes to mind, I don't think I've said this, it was a recent thing. The last couple winters, I left my house here in Florida and let some friends use it. And this year, I think they were under a lot of stress. They freaked out. The lady didn't want to use it, made a scene. It was sad. But I was like, okay, fine. But now, months later, and I've been down here, every day I'm just so happy that they didn't end up here and I had to be somewhere else. But at the time, it seemed like something unfortunate, but it turned out to be the best thing. And that is, again, that higher, infinite intelligence. And then just really underlying all that, we're talking about a trust. Because if I am evaporated, at some point I will be physically terminated, not me. That's inevitable. So don't be afraid of it that much. And then lean into just being here now as the avatar neurocenter with 1 trillion cells, trying to be in alignment with what my soul wants to have happen.
So when did you realize you could trust it, even when you didn't understand what it was doing?
And again, it's interesting because trust has to be relearned from a primal standpoint, because it's afraid of everything and it doesn't want to die, wants to get ahead. So there's always that, are you sure it's safe, like in the Marathon Man. But more and more with time, I think when you're young, you totally trust it. You don't know. You're just like same way a dog does. And then again, you get sort of programmed, which is part of this game. Otherwise, if you came in completely as one, why are you here? And then I think through experiences, and of course, I wrote about a profound one in the book that I didn't want to write about, but the book became its own living thing, the Hitchhiking with Larry David book. I was writing, and then I saw the structure where it culminated in this one chapter where I should have drowned, quite honestly, off of a beach called South Beach on Martha's Vineyard. I didn't drown in this riptide. I was arrogant. I shouldn't have been out there. I was a great swimmer. Because who could die in the ocean if you could swim? Well, I almost learned the hard way. And there was no one around. And then there was somebody behind me, 2 young girls. They had a surfboard. They pulled me out, swam to the riptide. Should have died. People die at that beach all the time. But it wasn't, and I thought you saved my life, but it was very basic. I didn't think it was something divine, cosmic, because I was sort of disenchanted with the source, God, for all the suffering in the world. I didn't buy the good cop, bad cop bullshit. But I was like, wow, and I was quiet for like a week. I would say probably a year later, I was reading The Road Less Traveled, and I read about grace and close calls. And all of a sudden I was right there on the beach in the water with the noise and surf. And then in that process, also letting go, like, holy, whatever, I'm going to drown off the beach in my 20s? What a stupid. And then, well, that's some people too. Hey, well, that was interesting. And then I felt this sort of, there I was, the struggling form. And then this really who I was. Yes, please cry. Almost just like, oh, wow. Everything's perfect. It's okay. And then, okay. And then, well, I'm done. And then, well, maybe not. And then when I was reading the book, I still was very agnostic then. And then I was there and my mind kept trying to turn the Rubik's Cube in some way where it would be linear and make sense. But there was no one behind me. And then there was. Well, that's impossible. But you looked everywhere a lot. Why would it care? But it was. Somebody else drowned that summer there. I don't know. And then it was just like getting struck by lightning on a horse or something. I just remember I was a tiny little apartment. I was a piano player back then. I just literally went to the ground on my knees weeping.
Wow.
Like I couldn't believe that this infinite universe where I had always felt like, you know, a meaningless fragment, of course. I'm no better than the ant or the housefly or anything. Why would it why would it pull me out and not the doctor, the whoever? I never could figure that out because that's beyond my pay grade. But I was like, oh my God. And then it was almost like, okay, so well, if I'm going to be here, why? I don't know if I have to lead a march on Washington or stand in front of a tank, Tiananmen Square, and then all of a sudden I read about Joseph Campbell and the Power of Myth and Bill Moyers in the LA Times. Couldn't get arrested out in LA for about a year after the drowning. And because I wasn't supposed to stay. Now I see that later, like the house and the rental. And I had this beautiful Norwegian journalist girlfriend, and she's switching channels about something she wanted to write and watch. And there's Moyers and Campbell. And I said, oh, I read about that in the LA Times this morning. That looked interesting. She goes, so did I. Let's just watch 5 minutes. And then that was like the video I should have been shown like when I was 4, like when you enter Earth as a mammal, and then here's the high elder, Joseph Campbell, JC, haha, talk about on the nose, right? Jesus Christ. And it was like, well, I'm absolutely out of my mind, but so is he. And Moyers. And oh my God. And then every drop and every word was just like the antidote to so much what had ailed me to that point. And I reread it and I found Hero 1,000 Faces. And later on, I wrote a book called What Matters Most, long before any of this, in Nashville, just to try to put something back. When I was in Nashville, I just started my music company. And as it turned out, it's too long a multi-coincidence synchronicity story. I was just about done. I needed one more of the 40. And I found out Bill Moyers was coming to town to promote his book, Genesis. And through the Freedom Forum. And one of my mentors was a guy named John Siegenthaler, the legendary journalist who ran the Freedom Forum. So I called up and his assistant said, I'll tell the whole story. I was told I'd interview him in makeup and a meditation. I have no idea what that meant. So I call up the assistant and I said, is Bill Moyers, what's going on with this? And she said, he's talking tonight. I'll put you on the list. And then John's going to interview him on Words over at the PBS Center at 2, but makeup's at 1. Why did she tell me that? So I snuck in behind them. The limo pulled up. John saw me and saw the recorder, almost knew instinctively, like, he could have shut it down. Like he smiled and he looked down and he said, okay, this is the kind king. And then Bill Moore is going to makeup. And but John had introduced me and I said, you got a minute? I did this book and your show changed my life. Bill Moyers is fantastic. Of course, he's a journalist. He goes, really, how? Turned the tables immediately, jiu-jitsu. So I told him about it and I said, can I just get a couple minutes and I want you to be the special guest? And he said, oh, I'd be so honored. Talk about a full circle. And then I kept in touch with him throughout the rest of his life and everything like that. He almost came on the podcast, had lunch with him in New York once or twice. Unbelievable humility as the top of the top guy and always seeking. So, but back to the story, Joseph Campbell, Road Less Traveled, Illusions by Richard Bloch. And before that, I thought I should start meditating. I had already started. But before I had the thought, I don't think I heard the word growing up, to be honest with you. And it just was like a different planet. And I thought I went to an art opening that night and I started talking to this one artist who had this beautiful painting. And she said, oh, I meditate and then I do this art. And I said, oh, I was wanting to learn to meditate. She goes, I'm a meditation teacher. Her name, and I'm not making it up, was Marla Faith. It's her real name. She never changed it. I mean, that's why it's a spooky sort of this whole thing. It's like, And I sat with her for a couple of days, and then there's that. That opened like we're open for business, And that was a good 40 years ago, probably, maybe 39 or whatever, 38, but Earth Tone. So it's all of that to answer, long-winded answer, because everyone wants the one moment. And even the drowning didn't totally wake me up. It kind of shook my ass. And it's still going on. It's unbelievable every day. And then I'm learning lessons. I'll give you a very up-to-the-minute thing. I've always had, for the last 3 years, washing machine troubles. I have no idea why. And I have this really nice new washing machine in there. And yesterday I felt like I was one with everything. Like nothing will ever take this away. I go in there today and the thing's not working. And I'm like, again? This thing? It's new. And then I had this and I tried 90 different things that wouldn't work. And then I finally thought, you know what? I don't care. I literally don't care. I'll go buy a new one or I'll burn the house down. I don't care. I literally don't care. I'm not even faking. I just laughed. I said, and I know you're effing with me because I felt so great yesterday. I don't care. I'll wash it by hand in a stream. I'm not going to let this ruin my moment. I can't wait to talk to you guys like 20 minutes later or whatever. And I tried 90 different things. And I swear to God, when I said, I literally don't care anymore, it said, you sure? I'm like, and it came to life and it's working. So I'm like, okay, you punked me for the 8 trillionth time and it'll test me 2 hours from now or half an hour. What's that lump? Oh no.
Was there ever a time that you didn't trust that guidance? And what happened when you tried to control your life instead of listening?
Well, I didn't trust it when that damn washing machine wasn't working about an hour and a half ago. I was ready to like get a baseball bat and beat the shit out of it, just like, that's it. I'm at war with the washing machine gods. I'll never have a clean shirt again. Not that it matters. No one comes near me anyway. But it's over and over again because the ego, it's unbelievable. You can't kill it. It's not, you couldn't, because then you wouldn't be here. But it's always like, are you sure, infinite intelligence? Maybe on this one, I might know, but generally overall, most of the time now. And again, if they said, 102 days to live, there would be a primal shudder and like, oh, am I going to miss the NBA finals? And, but let's just stock up on fentanyl so there's no physical pain. And let's go see where, some new things. But it's practice. It's consciousness and awareness. You got to stay on top of it.
Well, Ram Dass said in his documentary after he had his stroke that with all of his spirituality behind him, when the stroke happened, he realized he wasn't as spiritual as he thought.
No.
Because he was scared shitless. And then further into the documentary, you see this unfolding of the most magnificent being that one can imagine in his writing, in his expression. It just was 1,000-fold greater than one could imagine Ram Dass could ever be. So now I want to talk to you about Larry David.
1 second, we got to honor Ram Dass. Also, I want to say that if I had the stroke, I would take the fentanyl. I'm not as brave as Ram Dass.
Yeah, I'm not as good as Ram Dass. I have a Ram Dass thing because you're mentioning Ram Dass.
Tell about Ram Dass, and then I will.
He also said, if you think you're enlightened.
That's my favorite quote.
Yeah, if you think you're enlightened, go spend like a weekend with your family, and that'll straighten your ass out about being enlightened. So yeah, Ram Dass had a lot of good stuff.
That's his greatest quote, in my opinion. If you think you're enlightened, go spend a weekend or a week with your family. And I mean, if I get a sore knee, I'm calling the spaceship these days, going, let's reboot. Either put me in the Rejuvatron. I know it's against the rules. Put me back in the Rejuvatron. I'm not asking for the lottery numbers. I know you guys time travel. They're convinced me that if I won, I'd somehow mess it up. But that's I don't trust that. I think I wouldn't. And then Ram Dass, I had a very beautiful synchronicity I wrote about in my 4th book called 7 Crazy Days in Maui. And they were crazy. trying to rescue an old girlfriend who was suffering from some addiction issues. And I was in a cafe, and Surya Das, part of that whole line, who gave me these beads once on the Vineyard when I was with the girl that he got from the Dalai Lama. I was snorkeling and they fell off in the ocean, and the universe said, let it be a gift to Mother Maui. She was dubious about me because she's wise. I'm in this coffee shop. Surya Das walks in. I couldn't figure out where I knew him first for a minute. Then I saw he had new beads, and then it all clicked. He asked me for the password. Then he says, do I know you somehow? And I said, Morning Glory Farm. And he said, The Hitchhiker, because he had actually given me a nice blurb for the book. Blah, blah. He says, hey, we're going to meditate in about an hour down here on the beach with Ram Dass. Do you want to come hang out with us and meditate in the ocean? I'd never met him. And I went down and met Gary Zukav, who I didn't know was Gary Zukav at the time. And he was Gary Zukav. I just didn't know because he told me Gary retired. Then he asked me about, I heard you wrote a book. And I'm like, oh, yeah. And then later I'd seen his soul. I was like, oh, I made such an ass of myself. He set me up. But Ram Dass, I had quite a powerful experience with him. And he was there post-stroke. He was in that period you talked about where he was really emanating with very few words and just a lot of light. So Larry David has to follow Ram Dass, I guess.
Well, the one story I wanted to mention from Fierce Grace, which is the documentary we're all alluding to. The scene in which he wrote this letter to this couple who lost their daughter being murdered. And I sat there listening to this fierce grace that he gave them, which is the title of the film. And I watched them go from extreme grief into this state of numinous grace.
I remember the movie. I only saw it once. It was very moving.
Yeah. So I recommend it for anybody who's listening to this podcast, Fierce Grace, the Ram Dass documentary after his stroke. So Hitchhiking with Larry David. And my question for you is, I know you were on the Vineyard and you were hitchhiking with him, but you can tell the story. My question is, but beyond the humor and synchronicity, what did that experience actually change inside you, how you live your life?
Good one. Another good one. You guys do your homework, unlike myself. He was a part of a bigger mosaic that summer. He's the most famous, sort of, I think. Well, Ted Danson. I sort of put myself on the window. I did my part. After he was the first hitchhiking encounter, and we had this incredible conversation that was funny, but also deep about, is there a God? And he said, oh, he thought about it for a while, and he said, oh, God, there's something. He said, just look at all this. And it was the most beautiful day. And we had this really deep conversation. I never thought I'd see him again. I wanted to. I said, hey, because we talked, and we even sat there at the end for like 10 or 15 minutes talking about a million things. I said, hey, do you want to go to lunch sometime and keep talking? And he said, absolutely not. Now get out. So, and if I hadn't said that, I probably would have kept talking. But that was it. I said, all right. And so beat it. So, and then a couple of days later, it was the most insane coincidence where I ran into him again. It was almost impossible. And he thought it was a ghost, or it freaked him out. And again, I said, we should try to figure this out. And he said, absolutely not. But that's weird. And there were like 9 other encounters. And luckily, I was always first, or I would have been in jail now. I was arrested for stalking. At the end of the summer, when I think the last time I saw him, and there was this other crazy shit, excuse my French. But when he came up, I said, you realize if you keep this up, I'm going to have to get a restraining order. And he almost spit his drink out because it was so preposterous. But there were all these other people. So I decided just to hitchhike the whole. I was only supposed to be there 2 weeks. I stayed like 8 weeks. And every day I'd go hitchhiking. I had a car, I had a bike. It was just so much fun. And I never knew who I was going to meet. And I met all these people who would just pour their soul out to some strange guy who was curious and had all these cool encounters. There was a magical horse, and some famous, some not so famous, some heartbroken, some trying to figure it out. That summer was a great summer of surrender, of just like put it on the wind and just see what happens. Stick out your thumb. Talk about a universal thing. And I felt like that was it because I was there the next summer and I didn't feel like I was supposed to hitchhike. It was like I'd retired or past the age limit of expiration. Where it really changed me, though, you talk about trusting, is I had that enlightened dream the last night of the summer. And it always suggests, because it's not didactic and you have free choice, that I write a book called Hitchhiking with Larry David. And I was in a theater and I thought, wow, what a great title. I mean, I know a good title, I don't want to hear it. And then I somehow realized I was not here on Earth fully. Now I go to that place all the time. I think I went back then even a lot. I just remember it more. I get to have dinner with my parents and other beings it's beautiful. It's like this, lighter, but it seems as real as they're both the same real. And I wrote it. I said, oh, I hope I remember this. And they said, oh, you will. I didn't see anybody, but I could. And I woke up and wrote it down on a piece of paper that I still have in a drawer on the Vineyard, carried it around for a month, and then I just started to write. And that's trust. But I did it. I didn't think a book or it's my break. I never thought once running into Larry a dozen times or anybody was a break. I didn't know what I was supposed to do next. That's kind of always been my theme. I'm not sure, I'm open. What should I do next? And I don't need the whole plan. That sounds boring. Just next. And so I did start just writing and everything. And then luckily the universe moved an editor in upstairs, a guy going through divorce who I didn't know was an editor. Thought was a film producer, television producer. And then it just was like, well, let's just see. He didn't tell me it was good until after we were done because he didn't want me to be cocky. And then put it out just like maybe 30, 40 copies, humbly, and that was it. So it changed my life that way. And then it turned me into an author for about 5 or 6 years. But by then I figured out that's way too much work for someone like myself. So then I was doing all these shows to promote it. And then they kept saying, you ever think of your own show? You're good at this. And so that's how the podcast started. And now we're up to almost 1,200 shows. We used to do like 3 or 4 a week, especially during COVID to keep the brain working. But now it's more sparse, but I love it. It's just conversations like this. So that's how it changed me.
Yeah, and that actually takes me to my next question. After all the creative movement and success in different worlds, you eventually felt called to create what matters most, the podcast. So what was missing in your life that made you know you had to do that?
Oh, man. Are you asking AI for these questions? These are really good. No, I don't use it. I wouldn't.
He uses AI. Don't trust him. He uses AI.
I think this feels like that. Or did you talk to the overlords? This is a little bit on the nose here.
Okay,
you look like one of the wise.
All right, so let me interject. 7. All right, now that you brought that up, and I'm glad you did bring it up, so I will interject that.
Don't forget that last question, though. That was a great question.
I'm going to come back to it, but so after Dia gave me your name, and I started to do research on you, and listen to your podcast, I felt a kind of high professional level in your ability to talk with people, and a great working of your mind to weave the podcast so it was interesting throughout the time that it was present. For me, and this is why I have Gary as a backup, he's the brain guy. He is succinct. He's got great questions. I'm
the enlightened guy, so that should tell you kind of where the whole thing is at.
I was going to say, all right. So
actually, he's enlightened and I'm lit. So that's the difference between us. But
and you guys just really hide it? Is that how the thing works?
Well,
I'm kidding.
So I haven't
like that.
I mask it. I mask it.
It's unbelievably cloaked.
So AI. So because I don't have any sense of continuity and consistency in my thought patterns, I fly by the seat of my pants on everything I do.
Me too.
And that's probably why I don't have any abundance, because I get bored and move on, and I get bored and move on, and I never. I mean, my wife and I retired from being professional photographers. That was the last stability in our lives. But you know what photographers do? So anyway,
but I want to key in on something though.
Okay.
Said you don't have abundance. Have you ever gone hungry, like literally for periods of time?
No.
No.
All
right, hold that thought though, because there's a lie going on here. We're going to cure this faulty paradigm right here.
Oh, bless you, my son.
Have you ever had to sleep out on the street because you didn't have a home?
No.
Home?
Oh, well.
No, I'm not talking about camping. Yeah, it's a choice. You haven't been hungry and homeless.
No,
right?
No. I know what you're talking about, and I have abundance of life.
You have this abundant life, but there's a lie. Look at Gary knows. You're running this lie, and it's just accepted as like this is like we have that in politics now, the party's truth. You know, or if it's 1984, the Animal House, the great George Orwell. You have core abundance, primal abundance. The rest is bullshit. The reason I'm trying to watch my language, I love cursing and everything, and my friends told me they love these shows I do, but then someone I think who goes to church more often than me, which would be once, that says, maybe you should not say the F word so much.
We always say the F word on this program.
Thank you. I feel free.
Listen, feel free.
We don't. Me 2 days ago.
Look, we're all inclusive here.
Thank you.
No holds barred.
I have had spiritual leaders cursing on my show. I said, but what matters most podcast, not only is cursing permitted, it's encouraged.
That's what we like to do. Or I like to do.
Now I know I found
Stefan's a little more politically correct, but I'm not.
All right. Well, we don't have to be two against
everything
one.
Everything is
good. I'm not going to monitor myself anymore. It's literally giving me gas.
Well, there's an expression. There's an expression on Larry David. Fuck that shit, Larry. So I'm with you too.
All right, but let's just I want to do at least one opportunity here.
Let's do it.
I don't want you, Stefan. Oh, anytime you say you don't have abundance going forward, you have to give Gary $20.
That's
right.
I
hold you to that. And if you don't, we're going to fuck up your show and everything.
Listen,
I want it to be such a negative anchor. I put some people through compliment school. No matter what they've done, you try to compliment them. Oh, not me.
Oh,
only hit 48 home runs that year.
Oh no, I'm just a humble.
Stefan, no more of this. You don't have abundance crap. Now, if we do a show and you're out in the park in the elements, then Gary and I will help you out.
We're gonna
let's get rid of that.
Paul. Listen, Paul. I'm glad you came on today because I can't do it alone. I have tried.
No.
I have tried with
him. No, but I'm not kidding. Listen, the whole
No, I'm not kidding. Listen, I'm not kidding either.
$20 fine.
It's no joke.
If you ever overtly say it, because we got to catch the words, which are the symptoms of the thoughts. And all right, I want to own my own thing. There's a voice that has never shut the hell up that said, God, with all this so-called brilliance, how are you not worth like 22 billion, man? You never gave a shit about money except the bare minimum, basically. And I've had a lot of abundance, blah, blah, blah. And still, now I'm the richest guy in the world. I wake up, I got a hot cup of coffee. I was thanking God, the universe for my roof, a bed. I slept. The plumbing's working today. I hope the washing machine's still working. If not, I'm going to film myself beating it to death with a baseball bat. But it's a mindset. And sadly, I've had people in my life too, and the women too couldn't understand. All these billionaires, they want to do deals. Why don't we make a couple $100 million so I could get that watch I really want? And then I would say, we try to mirror nature. Have you ever seen a lion kill like 40 gazelle? Because you never know, if you run out of gazelle, you might need one later, or you want a horde, and he's the gig. No, because you wouldn't want to eat the rotten meat. You get sick. So this is important though, Stefan, because you're taking one for the team here. I would say most of the people in the West don't feel abundant because of advertising and all these magazines. But let's be honest. Do you want to be a prick like Elon Musk with $685 billion with all the suffering in the world?
No.
Can you imagine if some imbecile like myself was given that much money? I would give 99.9% away. And I'd literally be as high as Ram Dass was on LSD at his peak. I'd be so happy circulating it. two things you don't want to pile up is resources, money, and wealth, and manure, because when you do, it stinks. All right, so that's it. That's my creed on abundance.
Okay, so now that the two of you have given me the therapy session on abundance, let me finish my thought. Okay.
And by the way, my check never came through for doing this. I was told I was going to get a 500. I'm still waiting for my Venmo. Dia said it's coming. No, okay.
No abundance, so I can't send it. Anyway.
That's right. All right. Give me your thought, and then we'll go back to that good question.
Okay. So I'm very optimistic and very positive, and it's never really bothered me. I've never been into money like that. So what happens is my abundance that I was talking about is perhaps that was the wrong word to use, because I have so much abundance in my inner life.
In what matters most?
That like the line that I used about tears at the edge, I'm in that constant state. I have, in my last 4 or 5 years, my heart chakra just exploded. It just opened up and has given me so much grace that the concept of unconditional love is just overwhelming. So I can see something, and it's all about unconditional love, someone doing something in life.
You can't buy this with $1 billion.
Right. So,
many beings come through an incarnation and never have this experience even for a moment.
But this is my lesson here. And this is what I finally came to understand after all these years, that I get everything that I need.
Say that line 100 times a day.
I get everything that I need.
Too. It almost is like a beacon. And everything I need comes to me effortlessly and with great joy. Also, I literally put the order in every day because I tried to do it once forever, and they say you can't do it. I want to learn and enjoy, do pleasantry. I want to talk to beings like you, men, women. I want to be reminded because I'm dumb as shit and I forget. And the advertising's everywhere, the dystopia. Everything comes to us. The three of us have everything we ever need.
I want to add something to this list.
Please do.
If I don't have it, it's because I don't need it.
That's real abundance.
See, there you go.
Thank God for unanswered prayer. It's a great Garth Brooks song. The things I thought I wanted and I needed. Oh my God.
Please.
Thank God for the enlightened no. Right?
Well, everybody's got their way, their design that they come into this incarnation with. And what's amazing is that even if the design is similar, each person is so different in their own unique way that in itself is a miracle.
It's such a miracle. The whole thing's such a miracle.
What was missing in your life that made you know you had to do what matters most?
A sense of community.
That was it.
And connection. And I had to find my tribe. Because while Campbell came and went, and you guys, I didn't know you yet. Not in an arrogant way, because honestly, that the worms out there are the same as me, the fly, whatever. The elephants are better than me. So is the porpoise and the whales and a whole host of everything else. It can be lonely here with this mindset on a physical level. Now, I talk a lot now to the invisible ones, or the hawk that comes and watches me work, and the trees. Everything is sentient to some level if you listen to it. And like the trees, like, you're talking to me, you know? I'm like, yeah, I had an oak talk to me and then, but I was kind of feeling a need for that spiritual soul tribe community. So in a way, the podcast was like a beacon, a lighthouse, homing thing. So I could attract conversations like this and only feel 80% crazy instead of 100% crazy. So that's kind of how it started. And it honestly started, though, if I'm really honest, and if people go back, it was sort of a way, too, to just make up sponsors. I have fake sponsors on the early show and just be silly and stupid, which is my favorite thing to do. And I'm really good at that, if you noticed. And
I noticed that.
You noticed that because you're very perceptive.
I caught it right away.
You caught it right away, like a mirror.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
You got it. And then honestly, it grew again, like the book. It grew into these things like I wrote Richard Rohr, the great Franciscan monk, right early on this note, because he wrote one of his infinitely beautiful books. It might have been something with love or something, but and to my utter shock, he wrote back like, "Oh, thank you. What a heartfelt note." I said, by the way, he said, what are you a writer? I told him yes. And I also just started this show, What Matters Most. Be beyond honored to have you on. He's already on Oprah and everything. So he said, maybe in like a few months, I want to take a break because it was around Christmas. I said, oh God, if ever, it would be the greatest thing ever. And honestly, I had no business ever being on it. And then I got an email like 2 days later, said, I could do it on Christmas Eve if you want to do it. I was like, huh? So I have a great technical guy, Matt, and I said, prepare, to post. And Richard Rourke came on for the first annual Richard Rourke Christmas special. And he was amazing. And of course, once he's on, everybody thinks, well, they must have vetted that guy. And then I called him up, or I sent him a note. I have called him before, and like on October, November, should we do this? I was kidding, totally kidding. Should we do the second annual Richard Rourke Christmas special? He said, we have to. That was too much fun. So he came on a couple times. But that made the show take off. Or like David McCullough, who I knew from the Vineyard as a piano player. I used to go up and talk to him. He was a big proponent of my writing. And he said something, have you heard of podcasts? And I said, yeah, I actually started one, but I've only done a few. He said, what is it? And I told him. He said, oh, I said, it's just our conversations, but you tape it. And he said, oh, let's do one tomorrow. And I said, oh, no, you wouldn't want to do mine. It's like, it's not worthy and I'm not being modest. And he said, nonsense. I like you. I like the way. So we did one, and then every publisher thought, oh, if the preeminent guy is on. So it kind of Mr. Magoo that. And then it just started, it's magic once you stay open. So.
Well, so now I'm going to get away from the questions that I had written now.
Good. Let's get away from it.
Good. I was hoping we would get to this point.
Get to the good stuff.
Stefan and I, the reason why I think our podcast works, because Stefan and I poles apart. Where he's on one end, I'm on the other end, and there's I like the dynamic.
That's a great polarity.
So when we throw the questions out, that's when I pop up, because the question they answer the question.
Now we're getting to the good stuff.
Anyway, go ahead.
It took a while.
Okay, here's the good stuff.
Let's get to the good stuff now.
Do you ever not feel a part of any of the podcasts that you do?
While I'm taping the show?
When you're talking with the people, do you ever kind of like drop out and just not feel a synchronicity with the person you're talking to?
Oh, yeah, of course, sometimes. But I'll tell you my trick. One of the things the reason the show really took off is I got the hell out of the way early on. I had, I think the original working title was Look How Smart Paul Is, and then changed it to What Matters Most, much against my ego's will. But there was somebody had on Gordana Bjornett, this beautiful lady from Sweden who was really wise, had been with Oprah or whatever. And I had a major crush on her, and I was way too excited. And God, I was just talking more than even today, which is almost physically impossible. And I listened to it after, and I just wept. I was like, you need to shut the fuck up. And luckily, that was early on in single digits, I think, about 41. And thank God I took myself to the woodshed and got my ass a whooping. So then after that, my Stefan and Gary, what I try to do, I don't like the video. So I do just the audio, and I literally sit there like this. Listen to and I breathe and listen, really listen, and never make sure they're done. And then I don't even jump in. And a lot of times I can't count. They finished. And there's this space. And then all of a sudden they say something else, which is the most profound thing ever. It's just like it was just sort of subtly waiting to come. And then they'll even say stuff like, oh, I've never said that. Or they're just had a revelation. And so the most successful shows, now I'm trying to be animated because I'm the guest. I feel like I judge the show success for myself when I'm doing it. And you've done a great job today, honestly, both you guys. is how little it was about me, almost just sort of guiding like the conductor, but there's a singer. And my job, if I'm really tuned in, and then I don't write any questions down. So sometimes I'll just feel a question out of nowhere, like asking Jack Canfield if he believed in reincarnation, the chicken soup guy. And he was a long pause. I said, wow, it's funny. Why'd you ask that? And then he said, well, I've never talked about it. Then he started talking about his past lives. He had visceral memories and all this stuff. And then afterwards, when we were off the air, he said, I've never spoken about that. That was very interesting. I said, can we keep it? He said, oh God, it was liberating. And then he said, what made you ask me that? Out of the blue, kind of. I said, I don't know. I was listening to you in space. And there's been a lot of that. Even part of me, like, I don't always listen to them after I do them. But sometimes even when I'm doing, I'll be like, there's an observer or the personality, and they're like, oh, what a great question. And you almost think, wow, somehow it knew, and then they just, boom.
And you know what this goes back to? This goes back to? Just what you're talking about. This goes back to the Bill Moyers, Joseph Campbell interview series. When Bill Moyers was saying to Joseph Campbell something along the lines like, well, what man or humankind needs is meaning. And Campbell jumped right in and said, no, it's not about meaning. It's about aliveness. It's not about some kind of philosophical thing. It's about the aliveness. And so this is where the aliveness comes in. When you're just in the pool and there's no, format, this, that, the other thing planned out, you're just there like we're doing right now. And so this is where it's all at.
The unscripted, beautiful brilliance, where that you invite the ultimate muse in. I love the way you brought that full circle too. He said people are not looking for a meaning of being alive. They're looking for the feeling of being alive. Yeah. And that being on the edge. And that's where there's tears, because it's brutal and beautiful and everything. It's very temporary, but you're alive, like he used to talk about. And
that's what it's all about.
That's that cutting edge you talked about too. And it's the feeling of being alive. And I remember he said, what's the meaning of life? He said, what's the meaning of a flea? There is no meaning.
That's it.
It's not so much a meaning of life, but the feeling of being alive. And there has to be pauses.
And the experience
of it. Which
not
is an intellectual.
Idea, not the idea about it, but the experience of it.
Beautiful. And you said the pool. You could watch 1 million videos about swimming or diving. But until I was in Maui with the whales, the turtles swimming around me, even the sharks, that's a different multidimensional experience. And that's taking it from the theoretical, which would be the absolute, into the form, the trillion cell energy suit. And then you're in water and hot and cold and absurdity and brilliance, all of it, if you can remember. But you can't naturally stay in the absolute because you wouldn't have a three-dimensional experience. Also, you would know everything before it happened. You'd be back where you were, but in this tiny vessel.
The absolute gets kind of boring after a while.
Utopia is very overrated.
Like 5 minutes of the absolute is great, but we want to get back here. We want to do this.
Also, you go to the absolute, you think you're there 5 minutes, and it's 5 million years. You don't, because there's no time. You're one with everything. So it's like when you fall asleep. Was I asleep an hour? No, 9.
No me. No you. No this. No
Utopia,
that. It's like, come on already. Let's get down to earth.
It's like Scottsdale. It's always sunny and 65. It gets old. So you want a good storm, a hurricane every now and then to stir things up.
Yeah, you want some action.
That's all it is. I just say, come on, listen to your soul, follow your bliss. One of the greatest lines in history.
Campbell.
Yeah, the Campbell, follow your bliss. And just be in the now. I love Eckhart Tolle's teaching. Just stay present.
That's all.
When my mind's always like, sometimes before bed, in October, I'm like, please, I'm breathing now. I don't have to piss. I'm just or if in the middle of the night I take a piss and it's like, do we have enough money? I'm like, not at 3:33, please. You know the rules. Don't any of you aspects of my personality ever approach me until the coffee has reached the medulla oblongata. Then we can talk about whatever you want for a very limited time.
That's it.
As long as it's not fear-based.
That's all. Or lack-based. Again,
Same.
this was what you were alluding to earlier. You know, this sense of lack. That's what hobbles a lot of people. It's like not enough, or not good enough, or lack. But when you get into, like, and I think we were alluding to this, the abundance consciousness, you don't have to have abundance material things. That's good too. Hey, I love it all. But I'm saying it's the abundance consciousness, like you said. Well, hey, I got a roof over my head. How many people out there don't?
Try to live without oxygen. I don't care what's in your bank account.
What was that?
Try to live without oxygen for a little while. Or water for more than a few days. I love this. This to me is a reunion of strangers. Reunion means we knew each other before. And
well, that's the whole thing. In other words, soon as I saw you, I didn't know. But then once you started talking, I said, "Oh yeah. Well, like we're all buddies, whatever." From
we are,
whatever. But I love your washing machine story, because I'll tell you that is the exact same thing. Not with the washing machine.
No, but it is. And part of me, if I go out there and it's not working, part of me wants to unload on that thing. Not that it'll do anything, but it would feel good, wouldn't it, to beat the shit out of that thing?
For 5 minutes, maybe.
And then I got to go buy a new one for $1,000, Right. That's a little too expensive a temper tantrum for me, and that might be a lack.
Right.
So I want to know why people feel a little bit uncomfortable about being in stillness.
Oh, God, that's a good one. Mostly, I think, and I'm just answering instinctually, I think there's a lot of unresolved trauma and pain. And because the barbaric system of capitalism and all this bullshit we deal with here, it's a very unenlightened planet. It's a beautiful Garden of Eden. But this hominoid that we come from, most of us, it's got a shelf life, and let's just say it's about reached its point. But that's hard, and then it's the unconscious leading the unconscious as wounds, and it's a lot of pain to be here. And if you haven't done any work, you just watch a lot of the Home Shopping Network to try to distract yourself. When there's quiet, people freak out, and then the ego doesn't like it too, because if you really get still, get past the noise, then the ego realizes it's an illusion, and it's built to live and watch out, and it hates to meditate, except when we get deep into meditation. Then it loves it and never wants to leave, but it vanishes. Come back the next day or an hour later, and it doesn't want to do it again, like a guard dog that will always. So, but I think people are afraid of stillness, and we live in a society that's programmed that way. I was in Thailand this year, and there's a lot more meditation going on. The temples are everywhere. And then I love Dubai. It was the first time I've been in a Muslim country, and they would do these chants through these loudspeakers from the mosque, and everyone would stop and pray. And I love that idea. I thought that's a beautiful idea. And then it was Ramadan, where people are more conscious what they eat. And I never felt so safe and welcome and loved, Even in Vietnam, where you're not CIA, are you? No, I hate America. Oh, well, come break bread with us, So I think, go past the fear. Ego's afraid of everything, for Christ's sakes. Just go past that. Sit in silence, and then watch the crazy mind. I watch mine. It's nuts. But it's not us. We're watching. Once you figure out you want to hack it, you're the eyes, the eternal eyes watching. And if you don't give it energy, it just goes away.
Where do you live?
Wind. Right now, I'm in St. Augustine Beach, and then I go to the Vineyard in the summertime.
So there's not a lot of noise around you.
No, by design.
Okay.
I'm a big believer. I need stillness and quiet. And with every day,
he's preaching to the choir. He's preaching to the choir.
Preach it, son. Preach it. I cannot do big cities, which are horrible and unnatural, and every one of them is terrible. I do like Paris for some of the beauty of the museums, but the older I got, it's just like, no, thank you, and almost like a porpoise being out of the water for too long. You got to go, if you can, go. The beach is a few blocks away. I ride the bike. The Vineyard, I'm in the woods. And anywhere I go, even when I had to go to New York, it's been a couple of years, thank God. A lot more and more in Central Park. Just we're nature, especially the quieter you get. If you're really pretty quiet and you go to New York, horns, cabs.
Well, that's where I grew
light,
up. I mean,
shitty air, puddles that never dry. And these are the good things.
Well, my soul was on a journey. It started in Philadelphia.
Oh, even worse. Good Lord.
And then at the age of 12, we moved to Manhattan in 1960.
Contrast. You're getting now you're in Vermont.
Well, yeah, but I lived in that kind of environment for so long that I could never get to the stillness or the silence. Mm-hmm. And it was only, now this is with Gary too.
Yeah.
Because of music. I know you said you got into meditation because of music. Well, when I was working with the guitar player John McLaughlin.
Great player, yeah.
Right. And so we worked with John in the studio on his first album, Devotion, and he was a long-haired, bearded guy, English, great guitar player who just finished playing with Miles Davis. And then he kind of like went away for 6 months and came back, and his hair was all cut off and his beard was gone. And he introduced me to his guru, Sri Chinmoy. And so it was that thread. He brought me to the center in Queens. And then I eventually became a disciple within 6 months. Beautiful. Gary had already been there. So we were disciples. But the music.
Once again. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But the journey that I had to take, being in New York, in all of that, and this was in the 60s when it hadn't yet reached, that peak.
It's great writing, though. If you were born and you lived across the street from the ashram, you moved in with the master and cut. Who writes that shit? No, I mean, right? I was the other day, there was something about the drama in the world. I was complaining to the universe and said, really, what movie did you watch last night? I said, 12 Angry Men. It was a masterpiece. They said, why don't you watch 12 Peaceful Men? I was like, touche. That argument was over pretty fast. We like all the contrast and the drama, but we should, I think, live in a peaceful place.
Do you think spirituality is too much of a spectacle?
It can be. There's yes and no to everything. Is it a spectacle to me, or is my spirituality a spectacle? There's always going to be carnival barkers. These fake Christians drive me nuts. I mean, I want to go back and kick over the tables again, but the last time I tried that, they killed me. Just subtle references. Don't take that seriously. But he outed himself on that stupid show. You got it.
Good reference.
He's back, this time with no hair, trying to get away. But these fake pious-ass Christians, Old Testament fake evangelicals, but that's just Ringling Brothers, P.T. Barnum stuff. There's a lot of money in religion. That's what the Scientology founder, L. Ron Hubbard, said. Let's get into religion when it's a lot of... I thought of starting a cult, but I don't want to come back here another 200 times and pay that kind of karmic price. But
hey, I gotta tell you, I gotta interject here. Speaking of cults, I'm doing a little writing project right now because I'm involved in a writing workshop, and I'm the title of my thing is and my one-man show that I'm going to develop is Cults I Have Joined. I just was writing about cult number 9 today. I've got more. I got like about 15, but I'm up to number 9 in my writing class.
I would want to read about. They fascinate me.
No, listen. I'm serious about this.
I'm serious. They do.
Because I'm going to do this. I'm doing this for a writing workshop, and we have a performance coming up. But also, I'm working with a guy who was a former disciple of the same guru that Stefan mentioned, on doing like a one-man show, like Cults I Have Joined. I got like 10 cults. I love cults because, as you say, that's where the excitement is.
It's amazing the way they move in lockstep and think. I actually went, speaking of cults, I would go to the Trump rallies. I wouldn't go like
another cult. Another cult.
It's an unbelievable cult. I wouldn't wear like an Obama shirt or go as a rabbi, but I would just go watch and listen because it was like it was fascinating.
Total cult. Same same patterns. It's always the same patterns.
It's the same thing. And then my friends would say, "Why do you even go to these things?" And I said, "Because I'm curious. Why did Jane Goodall study the apes? Curiosity." In all due
same
respect
shit,
to the
different
apes,
cult. That's all.
Yeah.
But look at how many people are brainwashed on this planet. I mean,
unbelievable.
We're all kind of
everybody.
Yeah, everybody. I mean,
Everybody.
that's part of being human. If somebody gives you an idea and you say, yeah, that's right.
Well, that's part of our little game here, to break free.
Yeah.
If we were born free, like the great musical and the great show, and John Barry wrote that
and
song.
the great song, Born Free.
John Barry wrote it. It won the Academy Award. They didn't want to use it. He was going to quit.
Great song.
And it won the Academy Award. But it's more interesting if you move to New York and you're in Philly, Jersey, and you go to Vermont, you have that arc. It's the same thing here. We're born into these mental prisons. We mostly stay in it, but isn't it fun to break out and be free?
It's the greatest.
That's fun. That's the game, and it's got to be hard.
If you never were bound, you wouldn't know the joy of liberation,
of freedom.
If you were like we were talking about before, if you're hanging out in the absolute, you're liberated. Yeah, big deal. But when you break out of that cage, or you break out,
it is.
You know, it's like, holy shit, what a relief. My God, what was I fucking thinking? Right? It's like,
exactly.
Whoa.
That's the genius of contrast and polarity.
That's it.
Except when it happens to me. But other than that, it's complete genius. That's cute.
You know, you were talking about earlier, talking to the voices of your parents and others that are no longer with us. Are you familiar with Bob Monroe?
I've heard the name, but
Robert Monroe and his
the Institute with the Institute?
Yeah,
I am. Yeah.
Okay.
In Virginia?
Yeah, it's in Virginia.
It's beautiful. I listen to that stuff. It takes you into a beautiful place. And that
have you ever had an OBE yourself?
No. Oh, out of body experience? Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah. And also in dreams, you learn to travel.
Okay.
You could do this. So. You can leave your body pretty easy. I don't like do remote viewing, although I did that by accident a few times. Feels like a privacy invasion, but it's you can travel. This is not. You're barely tethered here. Your consciousness can move around pretty freely. There are rules. I'm trying to figure out certain ways to break some rules. They won't let me do it. You can see the future, but I don't want to do that. It would ruin this life completely. You can go back. You can bring love to the past. I don't think you can alter it. I don't know. But there are other rules. But I was asking, I don't want to say too much about this because I don't want anyone to do the wrong thing. But I was trying to do something the other day, and they said, there's a soft wall there. And it said it would almost be like, I don't play video games. But like if you had the video game and the character came out into this world and moved around, like it was a Green Knight or something, that would wreak chaos and anarchy. Because I had some ideas about some stuff, but it was like, it's interesting. It's like structural agreements. They're not imposed. My soul is already signed up. My personality is trying to hack some things, mostly because, I realize it's a game and it's trying to play.
But you must have had an experience of the other while you were sitting there in stillness in those moments where something just happened and it was like, oh, I saw that.
Yeah. Oh,
that other world beyond the veil.
Oh, many. There's so many.
Actually pierces through to us rather than us piercing through to that.
And the veil is so thin.
Yeah.
The veil is insanely thin. And if you're open and you're integrating and grounded, you can move through nature and see things. There's haunted houses. I've never really felt threatened, to be honest with you. ETs, ghosts.
Yeah.
Pretty sovereign. The universe once tried to scare me as some giant evil thing, but I'd already experienced oneness. Now, first, in a primal sense, I was like an animal with the hair up and, oh no, this was a powerful, dark force. But in that, I like came awake and thought to myself, wait, it's all one. So that's just you in a mass. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Are you sure? Yeah.
Reminds me of the great Milarepa story, right? Where he was oppressed by these demons. He was so oppressed, and then he finally got that the demons were just his mind's projection, and when he got that, they were just his own mind.
Having fun. He was having fun.
They disappeared. So
and once you learn that, it never came back. It was almost like it would never. It's not redundant. Like I don't smoke cigarettes, so I don't have to be tested. Like people never come and said, you want a cigarette? The universe doesn't waste any energy, but it will test me with this washing thing or whatever it is. I thought this today too, because I swear I was so in the flow yesterday. And then I was like, and then I knew, I thought, oh, you find a weak spot. This is brilliant. You find a weak spot. And I wanted to react, but then there was at one point I thought, no, it's a game and you're playing a game and
You've got something here. Hold on, Paul. You've got something here. I want you to write the washing machine sutra. There's a lot
something
here.
was going on. Oh, yeah. And then the other beautiful thing, there's these neighbors here that are borrowing the house. So they saw me doing some stuff, and then he said, "What's going on?" I said, "Oh, my washing machine's doing weird things." So the sweet older couple said, "Here." They popped the garage door up and used ours. And then I ended up having a really nice talk to him about books. I told him about a French bakery a few blocks away. Again, if the washing machine hadn't done that, my garage door would have been closed. Da, 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 da. And there's fellowship and connection. Fellowship and connection. I always remember. Now, in my mind, I want to get the wash done, and it started, and I got an interview. I got to eat some chocolate. I mean, these are very important things on my agenda today.
Very. Well,
why would I ever be in a hurry? I have nowhere to go.
But it's like the whole thing of like, well, the door closes, but then the window opens. It's like, yeah, the washing machine broke, but then you have that opportunity with
there it is.
I have an important announcement to make. Okay.
Okay. You're leaving the show for good.
I can because I can see that we're just getting on a roll here. But I made Stefan the host so he can continue this because I am playing 3 roles in John Guare's 6 Degrees of Separation coming up in a few weeks, and I have to go to a rehearsal, so I have to leave here at 3. But you guys can keep rolling because you're on a roll.
Why don't we do this as part 1, and let's do a second part if you want?
Hey, I can tell we're just scratching the surface.
Yes, and we could go 9 hours.
9.
And I do have my laundry next door, so I don't want to burden them with that. No, it'd be really funny though. Luckily, it's only towels. I love how it all came down to primal washing. It would have been funny if I had some like nice shirts and I did it in the delicate, and then I'm over here talking to you, and then the lady's like, "Oh, I put them in the dryer for you," and then they come out and they're like little GI Joe shirts, like. But everyone who knows me would laugh because mostly I'm wearing old Salvation Army type stuff. Actually, a lot of people don't know the Salvation Navy has some really nice stuff too. No one knows about them. They don't get the publicity. Oh, I wanted to put in my bio.
You're under the radar.
I really want to have a fake bio where I was like, I spent a lifetime commitment in the military, my love for the country. I started as a private in the Salvation Army and I worked my way up to a colonel. Retired with full honors. I can go to any Salvation Army in America and get free clothes as long as it's less than $100. I'd love to go on shows and just riff like this.
You could do it. That's great.
Well, all right, so we're going to do another part.
You're coming back. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you're definitely coming back. But I'll tell you one thing. Could
maybe even another life. I'll come back. The next time you see me, I'm talking like raccoon here, like in that Guardians of the Galaxy.
We'll channel you.
I hope I'm not holding.
Hey, I hope your shirts come out.
I love the blues.
I hope your shirts come out okay. I don't. Zoom is crazy. I do things with my fingers and all kinds of things happen. You never know what's going to happen you never know what's going to happen on Zoom.
What do they say? It's a simulation.
Who knows? Great, Paul. I'll see you guys. All right, I'm stopping my recording, and I am going to hold on a second. I'm going to stop recording.
Go ahead. You've been muted the entire time anyway, so it doesn't matter. Whatever you do.
I hope you heard what I had to say.
No, but I thought it was a pantomime because you were moving.
Something like that. All right. See you.
Every show should have a mime.
I'll see you for part 2. We got to do more of this stuff. We're just scratching the surface. All right. A long way to go.
Scratching the Surface. What a great name for a show.